You're listening to Big World Network.
Kai's Inquisition, The Blight of Shadowfall. Episode 1. Written and read by Ton Krakowski. The room was spinning. Bright, tropical sunlight streamed through a diminutive window into an equally tiny room, cleaving through Kai's head like a battle-axe. Wincing caused her belly to convulse, sending her scrambling to the edge of the straw pallet to retch into the strategically placed, half-full bucket. Once her heaving had subsided and settled her midsection into a tight knot, Kai groaned and curled into an uncomfortable ball to battle the sickness. 2 weeks of poisoning herself each night had gained her only a small measure of immunity, but it was better than none. Each day, the agony lessened and the recovery progressed with increasing swiftness, until she no longer had to remain in bed most of the day before the next dosing. This time, she surmised, she would fully recover in only a few more hours. Until then, all she could do was remain as still as possible and let her body filter out the poison. "It is as Naderu wills," she reminded herself, as a sudden chill swept the fever from her sweating body. She tried not to think about the fact that her deity had not spoken to her directly to send her on this mission, choosing instead to communicate vague instructions through the elders. Kai would have been more willing to kill for her goddess if she had given her the commands directly. Naderu had selected Kai to be her Inquisitor after all. The least she could do would be to divulge something, anything, about the enemy Kai was to eliminate. When Kai first arrived on the island of Elosia to complete her preparations, she frequented the seedy drinking establishments in the tiny port city, hoping to glean something useful from the patrons. She learned nothing. The sailors she interrogated were far more concerned with making the most of their limited time ashore than anything else. While it wasn't unexpected, she knew the heretic she sought would most likely be found far inland where few sailors had ever set foot. It was still disappointing. But the sole denizen of the minuscule neighboring island had possibilities. If he was a servant of Naderu, as Kai suspected, perhaps he would have a message for her from the goddess. At this point, any validation of her quest would be welcome. Kai would be less than pleased if she found that she had endured the agony of building up immunities to some of the poisons she might encounter in the jungle without cause. Either way, she would find out that afternoon. Kai stepped out of the rowboat onto the rocky shore of the nameless island and swept a few wayward braids behind a gracefully pointed ear. "Wait here," she commanded over her shoulder to the young sailor hired to transport her. "I won't be long." She heard the man grunt in acknowledgement and the scrape of his fishing spear on the bottom of the boat as she made her way farther from the lapping waves. She stopped abruptly and spun around to face him. "Take only what you need, and do not forget to thank Naderu for her generosity, unless you seek retribution for your heresy," she advised, her face a cold, impassive mask. "I will not have nature's balance disturbed by unnecessary killing." The man paled, dropped his spear, and mumbled a clumsy apology. Satisfied, Kai turned her back to him and inhaled deeply, allowing the sweet, salty perfume of Naderu's ocean goddess aspect to soothe her inner turmoil before setting herself to the task of searching for the tiny island's inhabitant. The elders had seen to her education in tracking and survival, necessary skills to have when hunting those marked for death, and finding the weathered old man as he boiled clams on a minuscule stretch of sand was depressingly easy. She approached him with respect, stopping just shy of where the rocks met the beach where he noisily slurped meat from the shells. "May I speak with you, Father?" she asked, her training in diplomacy unpracticed but apparent. The hermit chuckled at her use of the honorific. "I am no one's father," he corrected in a gravelly voice, raw with disuse. "But I welcome your visit, child. It has been many years since anyone has made their way to my lonely island. Sit." He patted a spot next to him on the driftwood log he was using as a chair. "Please. Would you partake of nature's bounty with me? It is not much, but I would be happy to share." Kai was tempted. The smell of the shellfish made her mouth water, but the thought of seeing it half digested in the bucket tomorrow morning churned her belly. "No, thank you. I only wish to ask a few questions, and then I'll leave you in peace," she said smoothly as she joined him at his meager cook fire. "Just like an Inquisitor," the old man laughed, his tone not unkind. "Always seeking answers in the most expeditious manner." Surprised, Kai inhaled sharply and glowered at him, saying nothing. The vines and shells woven into her braids could serve to identify her as a follower of the nature deity Naderu, but only to those with more than a passing knowledge of the multitude of faiths found spattered across the planet. Further, there was no way for him to have surmised her role among the devout. She had tucked her symbol of religious rank next to her skin beneath her leather armor, and left her longbow and trident behind to further disguise her profession, as many considered Inquisitors to be scum no different than assassins. "It's not much of a leap," she mused grimly to herself. "I am little more than Naderu's personal investigator, judge, and executioner." "Do not be alarmed, child." The old man's watery blue eyes twinkled with good humor as he tried to allay her fears. "I have been expecting you. Naderu visited me in a dream, informing me that Kai Amari would seek my counsel. You appear exactly as she showed me. It seems you have an important assignment to complete for the goddess, but you are untried. She wishes to prepare you to serve to the best of your ability." Kai gaped. Yes, she had hoped that visiting the hermit would be productive, but never had she imagined this turn of events. "Why does Naderu not speak to me directly?" she suddenly demanded. "Am I not worthy?" The old man lifted his eyebrows at her outburst. "Only the gods understand their ways. Let me ask you this. If you were unworthy in any way, would we be having this conversation?" "What do you mean?" Kai asked guardedly. "Oh, come now, Kai. We both know it was your goddess who delivered you from the shipwreck 5 years ago. Do not attempt to use your skills to beguile me," the old man scolded. "Now, I am to tell you 3 things. First, that the course before you will test your faith and courage. Use your skills wisely. Second, that your training is enough to get you started, but there is much you must learn along the way. Be observant and continue to condition your mind and body throughout your travels. And finally, that more have been chosen for this quest, but you are the only Inquisitor of the faith, uniquely suited to root out and destroy Naderu's enemies. Do not allow yourself to be led astray, not even by your allies. Do you understand?" Kai stood, her resolve strengthened. "I do. Thank you. Is there anything you need in return for this information?" The hermit shook his head, his long white hair fanning out behind him. "I need only to rest. Our talk was pleasant, but I am unused to company. Safe travels, Kai Amari. May the divine scales watch over you." She bowed politely and turned to leave the man to his solitude, her gnawing suspicions that she had been sent on a fool's errand lightened considerably. She would board the Ocean Wanderer at week's end with a new resolve in her heart to begin her journey to Adelam and fulfill her duty. Kai did not look back. If she had, she would have found the beach eerily vacant of all but scuttling crabs and noisy seabirds.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.